Today we're going to take a second look at this 4-stroke Honda GX35. Eventually I didn't know what exactly it was supposed to do, but it was meant to be on a concrete vibrator. Basically the other end, the shaft, which is disassembled in front of us, shakes, and it's supposed to go into wet concrete, kind of slap it and even it out. Well, unfortunately, this is what happened. Now, this is not per se the best way of doing this. In fact, it's probably the last way you're supposed to do it. But I took out the center shaft. Everything was connected. I looked at the clutch. Clutch was engaging. All that. Nothing was making it not work. Then I took this apart, and this connects to the shaft inside of that gets connected to the clutch, which then is driven by the motor. This piece is supposed to be connected to this, and when it rotates, as you can tell, some sides are shaved off, others are solid. So when it rotates, it's uneven and it well, like I said, it was broken. So I ended up taking it off and welding it back together. Not the prettiest welds because it's a really small area, but the bearing is working fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it back together. This has grease in it, by the way. That looks like it's good to go. All it really does, it just connects. There we go. Okay. Looks like a little grease is coming out, but that's fine. So now, just gonna make sure it spins. So, like I said, that's what should be connected over there. Let's see what happens. Spins, no problem. Now this other end goes in on the other bearing. It's through the center. I don't know if it's going to be cooperative. There we go. I'm going to get that tightened up, and then we will attach it back to the machine. And this is the other end of the shaft. Let's shove that in. I cleaned it up a little bit so it's easier to take on and off. Now, like I said, this isn't the best way. It could break again. It's broken once, it's probably gonna break again. But talk to the owner. One of these is $236. He didn't want to spend that. He said, if you do whatever you need to do, if it breaks, it breaks. So that's what we're doing. Other than that, I think we're gonna give it a test. But let me go over a couple other things. There's a lot of concrete on here when I first started. I ended up having to clean it up, penetrating oil, and then heat it up a little bit in order to even break it free, and that was for both ends. So if you're having trouble, know that heat and penetrating oil, kind of in that order, is your best friend. Helps if you tighten it. So here's the problem with what was happening. I hate MIG welding. It's good for certain things. Tiny things like this is not right. So what I did, it wasn't working. It was just too crooked, and no matter what I did, like every time I would try to straighten it out, the wire feed would just push it over. So got my TIG welder out, cut everything off, ground it smooth, got a dowel, went to the hardware store, got a new bearing that has the same outside diameter. The inside's a little different, but that doesn't really matter because I got a new dowel. So now the bearing, oh, that's for the other one. Fits over like so, and that's roughly the same distance as it was before. Actually, it's a little closer. It should be more like this. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off probably like right about here. Unfortunately, we will have to put the bearing on, but it'll be like right about there. Then I'm going to cut this piece off. I'm going to weld it directly to that. That way it's one solid piece. I mean, is it the best case scenario? No. But I do have 2 new bearings, and what I'm going to do is, in order to prevent the heat from getting into the bearing, is I'm going to tack only 2 sides at a time, rush it over to the water, dry it off, cool it off, and then do the other side to try to keep it as cool as possible. So I'll show you the outcome. And we have it. I used a pair of pliers to kind of hold it down, because with this being uneven, like this, that's fine. Yet you try to weld something when it's like this, yeah, it doesn't like that. So right now, I'm gonna put a little grease on the end. Put that bearing on. And that slides in like so. There we go. So just as before, that bearing is pretty much excuse me, straight on. So now we are going to do the same thing with this one, except, yeah, you know, I like the idea of putting a little bit of grease in here too. There we go. And this is high temperature vehicle grease. It doesn't really need to have that. It's probably overkill, but it's what I have, and I think it was cheaper than just the standard grease I would get. And there's no parts here that will degrade with petroleum. Like, I know, like specifically brakes, when you do brakes on cars, you're not supposed to use certain types of grease. You're supposed to use silicone, but I do not see that being a problem with this item. Okay. It spins very freely, which is a whole lot better than it was before. It was a little sticky before. So I'm going to put it back on the end, tighten both ends, and hopefully we'll be done. This is the other piece of the shaft, I suppose. This is supposed to be almost level. If it's out, it means it's not all the way into the clutch. Okay, moment of truth. Last time, everything just came undone because the power of the engine was loosening the fittings, and eventually the rotation just snapped it because it wasn't really penetrating with the MIG. I don't know about MIG. I know there's probably people out there who can MIG anything. I'm not one of them. TIG for me is substantially easier, especially for this. So let's give it a pull, see what happens. It's been like an hour or two since I've started because I went to the hardware store to buy those bearings, but choke, 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 choke. Here we go. Well, there you have it. Dances like a hula girl, which I'm assuming is exactly how it's supposed to be. I've never used one of these machines. Yeah. So what did we do? The shaft was broken. The one that was actually connecting the engine to the rotation of the little weight. So how it ends up working is the weight being off balance will kick it up and down. Well, it wasn't moving. What did we learn? That the new one of these is 200 and I swear $96 or $36, excuse me. And this bearing, 2 bearings, a little shaft to go with the bearing, I think it was like $6. Yeah, because I got an extra bearing just in case I torched one. So there you have it. Save yourself $230. So this is the rejuvenation of the concrete vibrator head. If you like what you see, keep watching, subscribe, catch me in the next video. Have a good day.